Well, you mentioned that South Africa, China President Xi Jinping was in South Africa this week, strengthening his ties with that country at the BRICS conference. Also, Chinese officials this week visited Nigeria to meet with that country's leadership. And, of course, in recent years, you mentioned this, China has aggressively courted and influenced numerous African countries to work food, trade, and investment deals. So what does that mean for the United States and the world?
Well, I think, one thing that COVID exposed to us, as well as the Ukrainian war, was the supply chains that were critical to the United States in producing food, fiber, and energy. When you look at a nation's power, it's based upon four critical elements: economic, military, diplomatic, and informational. I will add two other elements to that, and that is food and energy. And when you look at Africa, China is looking at that, and they want to capture the ability to produce food, get the energy production that they need for their own nation, and that's why they're so focused. They want to get away from dealing with the United States, period.
Well, I know they're even moving into the U.S. here. I mean, we've seen them buy up some farmland. What is that risk?
That's a significant risk. I think we're going to be dealing out with in a very short order, whether it's on the federal level and state level is already working on it. The reality is I'm more concerned about the Chinese Communist Party and different elements of the country coming in and buying companies that hold intellectual property that's been developed here in the United States. That once they buy that company, they can then convert that intellectual property that we've worked on here in the United States, done the research and development, and move that over into China and benefit themselves at a very low cost. So I'm more concerned about their investments in our country, taking companies to get the intellectual property.
And back to the food, though, if they control food, the food supply and food markets around the world, how dangerous is that for the American people?
Food is power. We need to remember that, and this is very dangerous for the United States. So one of the warnings I would offer to the United States is let's make sure that we have a regulatory environment that lets us onshore more of our critical building blocks to produce food, fiber, and energy. That would be replacing, for instance, fertilizer that comes from Russia or Belarus or China, or critical components to build the crop care products that we protect our crops with from insects and weeds and other diseases that come out of China. So the United States, this is a wake-up call. And we could be a food power, and we could use it in a manner that benefits the United States, but our friends and allies around the world.